Driver, start your engine! In the beginning, stock cars outran the police to deliver the hooch to our ancestors. So sweet. Are you ready for a trip down victory lane, where Richard Petty's winnings were insane and Dale Earnhardt put everyone to shame? Canadian Junior Handley is in the Hall of Fame. Live from Haldeman County, it's time for the Driver in Deep podcast. Are you ready?
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for episode 33 of Driver in Deep, brought to you by wingnutsports.com. You all know Alex, and I'm Mark McSporin. Our guest today is another possible star in the making, Kyle Steckly, son of four-time Canadian NASCAR champion Scott Steckly.
Yeah, we've mentioned Kyle on here before, and of course we had his dad on here, and he's one of the young guns here in Ontario that's carving out quite a path for himself. I'm looking forward to talking with him, and for sure, and even though you are somewhat of a newbie to our sport, you've actually saw Kyle race.
Yeah, I have. I was at Flamborough Speedway, and besides enjoying a Flamburger, I watched the APC Late Model race, and Kyle won. I mentioned it on here before, but wow, I am super impressed with some of these young kids. I shouldn't call them kids because they don't drive like kids. They drive like pros, and how much talent some of these young kids have around here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, we always hear about these young guys coming up from the U.S., and of course I know a bunch of them. A few of them have been here at Chicasa, and there's a ton of them. But man, we cut ourselves short up here because we've got a bunch of young talent, like you said, right here in our own backyard. So looking forward to having that. Listen, quickly, before we get started, we'd like to remind everybody to join us online on our Facebook page. Just search for Wingnut Sports and like our page so you can get all of our updates.
Yeah, that's right. And if you're on our Facebook page, you'll see what we've been up to lately, which is mostly no good. And also on both Twitter and Instagram, we're at Wingnut Sports. Or check out our website at wingnutsports.com, where you'll also see our show notes for each episode. And finally, if you're a YouTube fan, search for Wingnut Sports on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Listen, before we get to Kyle.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, it's all you, man. I've seen a ton of chirping on Twitter, directed, of course, some to me in the last couple, 3-4 days. All from you. And it blows me away. Like, did you just learn how to post something on Twitter recently? Because all of a sudden, bam, there you are. I guess when you cheer for the most dreadful franchise in NHL history, that we should let you gloat since the Sabres are putting on a smoke and mirror show to start the season.
Well, I will say this. It's true that I have been chirping back on Twitter more lately. And it's mostly because I want this conversation to be public so that other people can see the crazy tweets you or, our colorblind flagger friend Gibbs and now your buddy Kevin Gooder, you've all been attacking me basically. And whatever. You all think I'm delusional, but all I have to say is let's just let the facts do the talking, Alex. Speaking of which, do you remember what you said last week about the Sabres?
Not really.
Well, how about I remind you?
Sure. Listen, the Sabres have been a dumpster fire and have been for several years.
And hang on, it's not over yet. How about this? Do you remember when the Sabres were 2-0 to start the season?
Yeah.
And do you remember your comment after that?
No.
All right, here it is.
Well, we're recording this show earlier in the week here, and I'm pretty sure by the time this plays, there's a good chance it'll be 2-2.
And what do you think about that?
So I'll go right back to the start of that clip that you somehow, I guess maybe that's what you've been doing all week, is figuring out how to play a clip here on the podcast. But
it's not really
they're still a dumpster fire, buddy. They're still a dumpster fire.
Really?
They're not, what are they, 4-1-1 now?
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you know exactly their record. They're 1 point out of second place in the entire NHL.
Dude, like I said to Gooder on Twitter last night or somewhere, He posted the standings. I said, post them again in 30 days and we'll recalibrate. I told you before, the
100%.
Sabres went all through training camp with their team from day one because they don't have anybody. So they practiced all their exhibition games. There's no substitutions. They had that shit show in place, and that's what they played. So they're like 4 weeks ahead of everybody. All the good teams that are trying to find their way, they're going to take a bit to get rolling. But these guys got an edge at the start.
Did you happen to watch the game last night?
I did see parts of it. Unlike you.
Yeah.
I watched about 4 different games last night.
And what did you think of the Sabres' effort against the 2-time Stanley Cup champions?
I'll give it to you. So, as you know, the Stanley Cup champions have stubbed their toe. They're a piece of junk right now, just like, before you bring it up, the Leafs and, several other teams that are supposed to be a threat. They're all struggling, and your team isn't. But I'm telling you, in 30 days, that'll change. But I give you credit. I give the Sabres credit. They're working hard, unlike the Leafs, playing good hockey. But I hope they enjoy it while it lasts.
Well, hang on a second. So last night, while the Sabres were lighting the lamp, you probably heard a lot of this. So you're going to hear a lot of that this year, Alex. I'm just pre-warning you. And even after we were finished last night, your buddy Kevin there basically said, I'm going to shut up now. And really,
yes.
Go ahead. You want to have something to say?
Well, the chirping didn't end on Twitter, man. You sent out this group email to, I don't know who was on there, your buddy Beckman. I don't know. You kept bringing in these Sabres guys like you that love the Sabres. And of course, none of them responded. And, talking about the Cup Parade route on Pearl Street, blah, blah, blah. Like, you are so far ahead of yourself. But again, for a team that's been a piece of crap for 10 years and you got, 4-1-1 record, I don't blame you, man. Have your day. It's, but, they're a minor midget team. You know it. You must love the abuse because you keep sending out little tweets or emails or messages on Messenger, just asking for the abuse.
I don't start it, just so you know. I respond.
Oh,
No, I respond. I did send out that calendar invite for June of 2022 to make sure that we get our spot on Pearl Street in Buffalo for the Stanley Cup Parade, and how great it's going to be when we're going to celebrate 2 championships in 2022. First the Bills and then the Sabres. And, obviously that creates a little bit of a stir with you guys because clearly you can't see past how bad the Leafs are. And I know you're going to say, I'm not a Leaf fan. I'm a fan of hockey. But all these other guys, okay, Kevin's a Edmonton fan, and I actually hope they do well this year. But they're the ones that are delusional. And the Leafs are exactly who we thought they are, including my buddy Mike Beckman, who sent me the the text, AM34, when he scored that goal a couple minutes into the game. And then guess what? Crickets for the rest of the night. I'm gloating a little bit. I'm having a little bit of fun here. But what I am also saying is that you're going to watch out for the Sabres this year because they are not the same team they were the last few years.
Oh, God.
And Eichel wants to play for them again. They're trying to pitch him again so he can have his replacement surgery because now he sees how good they are.
I told you before, getting rid of that cancer was half their problem, and apparently I was right. Hey, listen, you, Beckman, Gibbs, you're all super fans. You're not hockey fans. You like one team. That's all you know. That's all you can talk about. But hey, Gooder's an Oilers fan, but don't lump him into your group, man. He was my trainer in my hockey teams for 15 years. He's a good hockey guy, and if the Oilers stub their dick, he'll be the first one to tell you, unlike you.
Yeah, listen, I hope the Oilers do well. I already said that. And, he's trying to bet me and tell me what a shit show and dumpster fire the Sabres are. And, that's how confident you are. He says, I'll bet you a 6-pack the Sabres don't win the cup or something. Of course, you spew saying they're going to win the cup. Make the playoffs is, I think, what
playoffs. Okay, the playoffs. And you won't even bet a 6-pack. That's how much of a chicken shit you are.
Well,
So finally, after you say, "Oh, I can't bet. I don't bet." Well, you sure mouth off enough. I can't believe you don't stand up for what you say. Finally, being a nice guy, he said, "Listen, if they make the playoffs, there's no bets. I'll just donate $100 to the Sick Kids Foundation, and the kids are going to win."
That's great. I'm glad the kids are going to win. And absolutely, the reason I don't bet is because I like hockey for the fun of the game. And you also know that I'm in the casino business, so I do know better, Alex. First, it's a 6-pack, and the next thing you know, Kevin's going to be handing me over all his AMC stock, and I'm glad at least the Sick Kids are going to benefit, when the playoffs start and the Sabres make the playoffs this year.
Now you're saying they're not going to make the playoffs?
No, I'm saying that they're going to benefit when they make the playoffs. So good on Kevin for doing that. And again, I don't want to take all his AMC stock.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd take the $100. Anyways, how about we get to our guest? Oh, here he is. Hi, Kyle, and welcome to Driver in Deep. Nice to have you on with us today.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Kyle, Mark here. Glad you're with us today. In our intro, we talked about watching you race at Flamborough, where you were in your first AP Series race and you won it. And that must have been a pretty cool moment, especially at what is now your home track. And I'm sure that you and the team expected to do well. But did you really expect to win your first time out in the APC Series?
No, definitely not. We're having a good year so far at Flamborough with the regular nights. And I finally got my dad to let me go into an APC race, and no better place to start than at my home track. And we're just going to get a solid day, learn how they run their series, get some racing against some very good competition. And we were all very, very surprised that we came out with the win that night.
Yeah, it was a nice win, buddy. And then, you finished your year at Flamborough, won the championship, and you went to the last APC Series race at Delaware Speedway, and you finished 7th. I think you're on track to finish better than that. You had a bit of trouble or something. I can't remember exactly what, but that track's not easy, man. And I think that was the first time that you had raced on it. So you had a heck of a finish.
Yeah. We went to Delaware a couple times and tested, and then went there for the race. And we were really strong in practice, and we were trying to read the track as the race was that night. And we made a lot of changes, and we just didn't make the right changes. And we just struggled with the car, and the race was just really loose and hard to keep under me. And I lost a couple spots there at the end, but I think overall we had a really good day there.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, it reminded me, I seen your dad after the race, and he said that you probably made a mistake, and that's what killed you towards the end there. That's right.
Yeah, we were really fast in practice, and then we're trying to make some adjustments for the nighttime, and it just wasn't the right adjustments.
Obviously, your dad is Scott Steckly, we've been talking about here, and he's a very accomplished driver, as we all know. Can you tell our listeners how it all got started for you? Did you say, "Hey, Dad, I want to go racing," or was it your parents' idea? Or maybe they tried to talk you out of it. Anyway, tell us about the junior late models you started in at Grand Bend as well.
So before I was racing cars or karts, I was racing dirt bikes, but my parents didn't like that too much because I was too dangerous. So my dad came up with the idea to put me in a little go-kart at Grand Bend Speedway. And then I loved the idea of that, but I had to promise that I wouldn't do any more dirt bike races. So I sold the dirt bike, and we went go-karting at Grand Bend Speedway for a couple of years, and then moved up to the junior late model.
That's speaking of go-karting, your old buddy Carson Nagy sent me a picture of an awards banquet with in your karting days. Little mullet happening, buddy.
Yeah. He used to have the mullet, but had to get rid of it.
He heard you were coming on the show, and he said, "I got a picture you have to post on your Facebook page of old KS," and I said, "Yeah, sure, send it." And then he sent it, and it's like, "Yep, we got to post that baby. It's pretty sweet."
Yeah.
I think the trophy's as big as you are in that picture.
Well, it's not as big as a mullet, though.
Yeah, true enough.
It looked like you had a placemat hanging off the back of his head. Anyways,
you're just jealous.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely. I told you before, man, grass don't grow on a busy street. Listen, so you won in karting, you won in junior late models, you went to mini stocks, You won there, and then you hopped into a pro late model full time this season. I know your dad is a very calculated guy who won't rush into anything. You touched on it earlier by saying I talked my dad into finally letting me go in Flamborough with the APC series. And I'm sure that you've had to learn a lot about and work on all the cars that you've had. And if I'm not right, I'd bet that you've wanted to move along quicker than your dad is allowed.
Yeah, you know, he's obviously taking everything pretty slowly. Taught me everything to do with racing, and not just at the racetrack, but back at the shop, how much work it takes. You know, you got to put in a lot of hours to make a race car fast. So I've done a lot of work at the shop on just about everything on the car, and, you know, learned a lot, and I think it's helped me at the track too. And he's taught me the right way to race. You know, you got to earn respect for people. You can't just go out there and move people in your first race. You know, you got to earn the respect of everyone the right way, and you just got to do stuff the right way. And I think he's really taught me that. So even if I would have wanted to move along a little quicker than he has, I think it was good that we're taking everything slow and I'm learning properly.
Yeah, you're right. Even, you know, I knew you'd want to move along quicker, but at the same time, I should have said that I commend your dad and your mom on how they've moved you along gradually. And you touched on it by having to work in the cars and understanding them. That's becoming a little bit of a lost art, I guess, in a way. And I'm glad that you're learning that, because it's super, super important.
Yeah, for sure.
Kyle, you won the Pro Late Model Championship at Flamborough this year as a rookie, which was amazing. And when your dad was on our podcast, he mentioned that you may race the full APC schedule next year. Have you guys made any decisions there? And if you do get to, what would your expectations be?
After the season we've had and the win in the APC series, I think if we'd go out and run full-time APC, we'd expect nothing less to go out and win the championship, or at least that'd be our hopes, and we'd work hard to do that next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to say anything different, buddy, for sure. You have to have, you know, set your goals lofty for sure. So it's a great way to approach it. If that's what, you know, if you end up going that road, good luck to you if you do. And I'm sure whatever you do, you'll be solid. Hey, listen, just to get off the racing topic for a minute, I know you play hockey, and of course you're a hockey fan. So I got to ask you, buddy, who's your favorite NHL team?
I've always cheered for the Leafs, but I know they haven't been doing too great lately. So just to answer the question, who's your favorite team? The Toronto Maple Leafs.
So you're in a majority of most Canadians, most people over North America. I just thought I'd ask.
Most Canadians and most people in North America? Is that really what you said?
It's North America's team.
Yeah. Well, you know, I know the Leafs didn't play that well last night, but there's another team that's not too far from here that did play pretty well last night against the two-time Stanley Cup champions, and that would be the Sabres. And I'm just saying, I've been a fan since I was a kid, so.
It's a dumpster fire from across the lake.
Yeah.
Or river. Yeah.
You can't even give me like a little bit here, like 4-1-1.
Kyle, what do you think? Sabres a smoke and mirror show?
No.
Do you think they're for real?
I don't know.
I guess we're going to have to find out. All I'm saying is let's let the season play out, and the facts will be the facts. But I am not surprised at the Leafs start. I have to say that. They are who I thought they were.
Yeah, listen, if you don't, and listen, all fairness, if you don't want to work, just like Kyle said about racing, you're not going to have success, and they definitely don't want to work right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to racing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in all seriousness.
Oh, I thought you were going to yell at me because I admitted truth about the Leafs.
No, it is true. Like, I don't know why the effort's not there, but you know, this team's definitely going to have to pick it up if they want to at least meet some expectations this year.
Absolutely.
See, I was good.
Yeah. Anyways, like I said, back to racing. Kyle, besides your dad, who I know you get a ton of advice from, is there any other driver that you have watched? You know, who else do you get advice from as a driver? And who have you watched growing up that you learned a ton about racing?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys for sure. Obviously this year, Trayton's been driving one of my dad's Pinty's cars, so I've learned a lot from him, and I've always kind of looked up to him as he's been racing late models for the past couple of years. Obviously J.R. Fitzpatrick, he's a great driver, and he's helped me a ton over the past couple of years. DJ Kennington, the list goes on. Joe Lawrence, a lot of guys have given me a lot of help, and I look up to a lot of them guys as good, respectful race car drivers.
I have to say that's great, because Alex and I, the different guests that we've had on, drivers, we've had many conversations about how important it is to give back and help the others coming up. It's really great to hear you mention some of the names or the people that we talked about that with. Kyle, I have to ask, your dad raced number 22 forever, and you've raced 24. How did you come up with 24? And did you want to be different from your dad and not choose the obvious?
Yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons. But I always, growing up, I was always a huge Jeff Gordon fan. So that's where I got the number from, and just to be a little different than my dad. So that's where I got the number from. And yeah, always been number 24, and hopefully always will be.
So when Jeff Gordon came to Toronto probably 5 years ago, and we had your dad down there at, I forget the name of the place, right downtown Toronto. It was, I forget why we had that event when I was with NASCAR, but anyways, Jeff came up and you were there, weren't you? I remember now. You're about 2 feet tall at the time. So yeah, not knowing at that time that you're a Jeff Gordon fan, that must have been cool, because your dad got a chance to spend a bunch of time with him, and I know you did as well. So that's awesome. Yeah,
that was a really cool day. Me and my dad convinced my mom to let me take the day off school, and I got to go to Toronto with him, and that was a really fun memory I had.
Yeah, that was a cool day for sure. So with your dad being who he is, do you feel that you have big shoes to fill? With your dad having all that success as a driver and now a team owner, and having success on that side, really entrenched in the sport, or do you look at it as a positive and use that as a positive also, and just try to be yourself and find your own way for the most part?
Yeah, there's definitely is pressure, but I use that as a positive. There's a million things that's positive to it, and not many negatives. But I think you do get a lot of pressure put on me, because he is my dad, and he did all these things he did in the sport. So I think there is pressure put on me to do just as good, but I try and put that aside and just do my own thing and go out there and do what I know I can and win races.
I forgot to ask your dad this when we had him on the show. I'm just a little tongue in cheek here, but with you working in the shop, you guys are in Milfordton, Ontario. It's Mennonite country. Do these guys get any horse and buggies in there for any maintenance?
No, not many, but we did joke about thinking opening up the horse and buggy shop instead of automotive shop a while back before we opened up the 22 automotive. So we did joke about that.
That's great. Okay, so Kyle, we're ready for the rapid fire segment of the show, and I'm going to ask you 10 questions. And what I would like you to do is just give us a quick answer, whatever comes to mind. Are you ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Favorite track you've raced on so far?
Sabres Speedway.
What type of race car do you want to try before you're done racing?
Dirt sprint car.
Favorite sport besides racing?
Hockey.
Who have you enjoyed racing against the most?
J.R. Fitzpatrick.
Who would you like to race against that you haven't yet?
Christopher Bell.
Do you have any pre-race superstitions?
No.
Biggest lesson you've learned in racing?
Respect.
What do you want to do for a career?
Race cars.
Favorite food, and you can't say a flamburger.
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings, I love it. And what do you think about iRacing?
I love it. It's great.
Good answers, buddy.
Yeah,
good answers.
Real good.
It's a good thing you didn't slip up and say beer and chicken wings with your mom and dad listening. Won't be long. Listen, I know you're busy. I know I took some time out. You got hockey practice tonight, I think, and then you're probably going to head to the shop and do some work. So we appreciate you taking the time. I know we'll have you back on here later after talking to your dad. We wanted to get you on when your season ended so we could talk about your championship and see if we could get some hot take on where you're going to go next year, but you don't want to spill the beans for sure yet, and I get it. So, yeah. But we really appreciate you being on Driver and Deep, and wish you all the best in 2022.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, best of luck to you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Well, we're wide open sideways. All right, you're clear. Talk is cheap. You're clear on that. We got the foot to the floor. We're gonna drive our in deep.